Hey guys, good morning. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It's 4 a.m. bright and early here in Connecticut on the East Coast. All right. I want to talk to you guys. I'm not trying to be cute in this video, and it's not. It's an analogy, but it's really not. Let me just come out and make my statement. I've come to realize we are, America, the United States is truly in an abusive relationship with Donald Trump, its president. As I watched that video more, my last video, I talked about the video where he came on, where he was banned from Twitter, and he came on, and he pretty much said the exact opposite of what he said 24 hours earlier. You know, that the people that stormed the Capitol were not patriots, they were criminals. And it was pretty much the exact opposite. And after 4 years, when you watch his body movements, his wiggle, his syntax, even his eyes and his facial expressions, it struck me, you know, you do not just feel adamantly one way one day and then 24 hours have a complete reversal of your core values and feelings. That's not sincere. And it all started to click as I started to realize we are in an abuse. This man is acting like a wife beater. Like a woman, a guy that abused his wife and got caught. So, I'll never do it again. I am so sorry. And then I started looking at him more, and the people that defend him. And it reminded me so, you know, it's actually like some of these women that can't get out of the abusive cycle. And they say, well, I kind of, you know, they start defending their abuser. Well, I pushed his buttons, you know, or that's what Donald Trump sounded like. That's what he sounds like sometimes. You know, well, these people like the AF or BLM, they're pushing his buttons or taking away his rightful votes or whatever he's claiming. And that's why I had to do this. You know, I didn't want to do it, but you forced me. I have to do this. I have to stand up for myself because I'm being abused. And the more I looked at this, I realized that he is an abusive narcissist in the truest sense of the word. In that video, he just completely flip-flops, and he basically throws his supporters under the bus. The people that he encouraged to march down to the Capitol, exact words, let's march down, we're going to march down to the Capitol, we have to be strong, not weak. And we all heard it. Next day, those very same people are now criminals and not patriots. There's a man trying to save his skin, is what he's doing. He got caught out. I'm sorry, maybe I went a little too far, but you pushed my buttons, you know. I love America. You know, I love you, I'd do anything for you, but you pushed my buttons, you put me in a corner, you forced me to do this. You look back at COVID, all the stuff he said with COVID, the bizarre stuff he says with the quinine, the rays inside the body, the bizarre stuff he said, and then the next day he backpedals when he gets caught out. When he realizes it's taken away from his political capital, he backpedals. And you know in his heart, after he made that video, and there's actual reports of this, that after he made this video, that when he goes through periods like this, he just sits and stews because he feels like he was forced into a corner to say he's sorry. And then he sits and stews and comes back again. And says how, you know, he's the one being abused. He's the one being forced to do this or that. And it struck me that he is acting like we're in a domestic abusive relationship with our president. The important thing here, as I watch this, is I remembered that people like this rarely ever change, and more common. Like I said, they'll sit and stew, and then they'll come back angrier than ever. And that is why I don't think we should trust anything he says for the next 10 days. I definitely, with all that being said, I definitely anticipate, and it's already started, I definitely anticipate him coming back and taking all that back. How everything he said was he's gonna take it back and then come back with more rhetoric and support of this craziness. Speaking of that, I posted something on my community page, and I was livid when I saw this picture. It's of an African American woman being held by Trump supporters in a bear hug from behind. She looks like she almost looks like she's being held so tightly that her insides are going to come out. Seriously, if you look at it, I posted one picture, but there's more than one. As I watched these pictures were so appalling that I had to make sure this story was true, because when you come across pictures that are pictures like this, I have to verify before I post them, because they're inflammatory. You have to make sure that this is real, and it is real. It was Trump Stop the Steal rally in downtown LA, and here on YouTube, there's actually reporting from KLX, maybe I think it might be, reporting on this very incident. It's a real incident that happened. Now, apparently, this African American woman was walking home by herself, wearing a mask, and the Stop the Steal rally was in the vicinity, and they yelled at her to take her mask off in Los Angeles, where there's people that can't even get to the hospital now, and they're yelling at her to take her mask off. So she yells back at them, "Put your mask on." And that was enough. That disrespected these white folk, and they went over and they beat her. This can't be allowed. This can't be forgotten. It cannot be allowed in this country. And this is not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, look at my community page. This woman is actually a lot more, I wouldn't say forgiving, but she's not as angry as I would be if it were me. She says that it broke her heart the way they acted, which just makes me hurt for this woman even more, that she's so empathetic, that she's so forgiving of these people. Not forgiving, but I'd be a lot more angry if I were her. And there's even more stuff coming out now. And like I said, before I talk on here, I verify these stories. I came across another picture of a Trump supporter in front of the Capitol on a megaphone. Camp Auschwitz. Work sets you free. Obviously, in support. That was what it looks like. Now it's come to light that one of these police officers inside the Capitol, the one that lost his life, was actually beaten with a fire extinguisher by these Trump supporters. Well, now let me continue as I'm saying that. Let me continue with this, I'm going to call it an analogy, but it really is, it's reality. What we have now is the typical syndrome that you see in a domestic violence situation. Trying to deflect, trying to say that it's AF, trying to deny that these people are actually doing, the people doing these deeds aren't who they couldn't be us. We would never do that. It sounds like, the friends of a domestic abuser or the neighbors. Well, he was a nice guy. I don't think he'd do that. He's a loving guy. It's not the guy I know. Joe would never do that. She must have pushed his buttons. And this is, I saw this group, and they call this group the country music wives. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a country music fan. Nothing against it, but I'm not a country music fan. And apparently, a lot of these people in Fox News are coming out and saying that it's AF, actually. AF was dressed up as Trump supporters, because Trump supporters would never do that. And this just fits in with the whole, that we are in a domestic violence situation, and we have Trump supporters and the Trump media and the people still supporting him making excuses or denying it. And it just fits into that whole scenario where you have a wife lying for her husband. No, he didn't do that to me. I fell down the stairs. I walked into a door. It's exactly what we're seeing here. Blaming the AF or BLM. This can't go on. And the most important thing is, I think we have to realize that people like this, and this scenario definitely rings true, that these abusers quickly change and revert right back. There's no such thing as remorse with these people. They feign remorse to get there when they're in a tight spot, to backpedal and get control again. And we see this, and this is definitely that situation. So if this stands true, and I'm sure it will, we're going to see Trump backpedal over the next couple of days and go again even harder in the same direction with his supporters, and probably another, I hope I'm wrong, but probably some other avenue of attack. When he says he's not going to attend the inauguration, that makes me uneasy right there. Because if this whole thing rings true, what I'm saying is that he'll do this again, maybe possibly with the inauguration. Like I said, I pray to God I'm wrong, but this template, this domestic violence template, fits perfectly. We are a domestic violence. We are the abused in this relationship, where we keep being lied to and abused. It's got to stop. I'll be back later with another video. You guys have a good Saturday.